Imagine you have been tracking the wild herd for 2 straight days. You mapped the perfect route in your ancient memory layout. And then, a massive wind-driven rain suddenly locks you down. For your modern mind, heavy rain is just background noise. But thousands of years ago, a storm completely paralyzed the world. Wet skin loses internal energy 25 times faster than dry. Cold weather easily triggers a severe hypothermia trap within hours. The rising river water slowly forces you out of shelter, while alpha predators squeeze into the exact same small cave. You are trapped in the dark with your worst nightmare. Inside the deep stone walls, one single mission matters most. You must protect the flickering fire from total extinction. Back then, starting a fire from nothing was nearly impossible. If the flame dies, your entire group loses its shield. Special keepers carried burning coals wrapped in thick green leaves. They used a rare tinder fungus as a biological lighter. Even 5,000 years ago, ice hunters carried dedicated fire kits. So the clan immediately moves the red embers deeper inside. They find dry wood under the dense forest canopy outside. They split wet logs to reach the dry hidden core. They use specific birch bark because it burns when wet. One person sits by the hearth for 12 straight hours, guarding the light because it represents warmth and total safety. Letting it freeze means a cold end for everyone. Once the fire is stable, the real production begins. Ancient humans didn't sit idle during the long storm. The dark cave floors are packed with manufacturing debris. Hunters sharpen stone tools right next to the firelight. They shape sharp flint spears with incredible focus and patience. In deep African shelters, workshops processed bright ochre powder. They used massive shells as paint mixing bowls. This was a structured system of ancient industrial pigment creation. Delicate bone needles with tiny drilled eyes appear in records. You only make precise needles when you have hours to spare. The rainy season gave our ancestors that critical creation time. In dark French rock shelters, they invented the first string. They carved advanced ivory machines to twist tight plant fibers. Making strong rope requires endless patience and zero distractions. This bad weather task completely changed global human technology. Rope allowed them to bind sharp blades to heavy handles. It let them build stable shelters and clever animal traps. Incredible survival tools were invented while waiting for sunshine. They also engineered their living spaces for maximum comfort. They gathered wild grasses to build thick, clean sleeping mats. They layered natural laurel leaves to repel dangerous insects. 70,000 years ago, humans already controlled local pests. They periodically burned old bedding to keep the camp hygienic. But the practical tools were just the first step. What happened next in the dark changed our minds forever. Deep underground, early artists started painting massive stone walls. They drew running horses, wild rhinos, and fierce bears. They showed perfect anatomy, tensed muscles, and fast movement. These were not random doodles made by careless amateurs. These were elite masterpieces recreated entirely from visual memory. They worked deep in pitch-black chambers by fat lamps. Nobody crawls through dangerous narrow tunnels when weather is perfect. You go deep into the dark when hunting is impossible. The greatest creative explosion happened during long forced lockdowns. The endless rain didn't destroy them, it created culture. 30 people trapped in a tight space must communicate. During sunny days, humans only discussed resources and borders. But around the storm fire, 80% of talk shifted. They sang complex songs, held rituals, and shared myths. The warm firelight reduced social tension and opened minds. The ancient hearth became our first digital social network. They transmitted vital data about distant clean water sources. They taught the youth which wild plants were safe. This was not random gossip, it was deep ancestral knowledge. They invented grand mythologies about where the thunder goes. Some oral stories about rising sea levels survive thousands of years. Cultural memory only grows when people sit together for weeks. Bad weather was the ultimate transmission time for the clan. The experienced elders passed heavy skills to the young generation. The collective database of the tribe was completely updated. Sometimes a massive storm was the best possible trigger. Memory champions at world competitions can memorize hundreds of names. They are not actually smarter than you are. They just convert arbitrary labels into vivid emotional narratives. They give the hungry brain the bridge it needs. So what does all of this mean for you? If you forget names constantly, you are not absent-minded. You are definitely not a self-absorbed or rude person. Your brain is working exactly as it was designed. It filters ruthlessly and stores data efficiently. Prioritizes deep meaning over flat random text. Syllables alone simply did not make the cut. The fix is not trying harder during the introduction. The fix is giving your system something to hold. You must repeat the name immediately out loud. Then connect it to a strong visual object. Create a tiny, weird story around those syllables. Force your ancient biology to trigger a dopamine spike. Make the meaningless label look incredibly dangerous or funny. Your memory network will instantly lock the information in. You will never let a word evaporate again. This simple routine completely rewires your social performance. It moves your focus from anxiety to active tracking. You stop worrying about what to say next, and you start actually listening to the input. You become a master operator of your own memory. Give that isolated island a clean biological bridge. And what if you are already mid-conversation, and the name has already evaporated into nothing? Stop panicking and running a frantic internal search. Just ask them directly with a warm smile. Most people are absolutely not offended by this, because most people have been exactly where you are, standing there smiling while running a total blank, desperately hoping nobody notices their empty database. Here is the quiet truth underneath your shame. Forgetting a name doesn't mean you didn't care. It means your brain was too busy experiencing them. It was reading their soul instead of filing labels. And that is honestly a beautiful human thing. But the corporate matrix wants you permanently insecure. It feeds on your constant social anxiety and doubt. It wants you afraid of every new introduction. A fearful mind scrolls the feed much longer. It consumes cheap content to escape the awkwardness. They engineered the social environment to trigger panic. But you just received the master admin password. The illusion of your social awkwardness is shattered. You know exactly why the data link broke. You are no longer an easy target for shame. Take a deep breath and look around you. The code of the associative mind is now open. Next time, you will build the connection instantly. One repeat, one image, one small narrative bridge. You control the input, so you control memory. Disconnect from the toxic judgment inside your head. Step completely out of the social anxiety trap. Trust your deeply felt narrative biology over randomness. You are the chief architect of your focus. Every name you hold will have a path. No more awkward nodding like a trapped hostage. No more fake smiling through pure survival panic. Just cold, calm, systematic communication every day. The ancient evolutionary mechanism is finally under control. You shattered their script and wrote your own. Because on the other side of that social fear lies the true version of who you are. A confident person who deeply experiences the world. Free from the corporate matrix of constant embarrassment. Your working memory is officially clean and optimized. The rules of the human brain belong to you. Rebuild your shattered focus line by single line. The hidden social trap is completely wide open. You can finally walk away into freedom. Welcome to reality. Welcome back to the real world.